Sergeant Mike Horn was arrested on Saturday morning for various drug-related charges, including possession and use of a controlled substance, DUI, burglary, oppression under the color of law. We spoke to Nye County Sheriff Tony DeMeo about this case.
Taken into custody Saturday morning, came to the attention of members of the Nye County Sheriff's Office that there was some peculiar behavior that wasn't part of our policy in reference to disposition of some drugs in the coroner's case. Then I was notified of an allegation, and I told the detectives to do the appropriate, what we do in every case, make out the proper warrants and proceed as it would be any particular case where we're dealing with somebody out in the public, treated no different than anybody else.
He's been on the force for how many years?
He's been on the force 10 years in the Nye County Sheriff's Office. It doesn't make any difference if they're law enforcement officers or not. There was an allegation. We actually have responsibility to the public, as we do in any case, to pursue allegations if they involve criminal behavior, which the allegations did, and then we proceed in that direction. I think anybody realizes the fact that we have pursued investigation against members not only of the public who commit crimes, but members of the Nye County Sheriff's Office as well. Every law enforcement entity does that.
The elderly female that's been reported that she had her medications taken, and we've heard that she might be filing a separate lawsuit. Do you know anything about that yet at this point?
I can't discuss any lawsuit, never heard about it.
Can you tell me anything about, he was transported, Mike Horn, to Beatty. Was there a reason why you decided to transport him up there?
If he was going to general population, we couldn't have him in general population. We have to segregate him anyway. We segregate, like every jail and every prison facility does, they segregate people who, we have responsibility to segregate people who may be in danger. So we're not going to put him in general population. He was transferred to Beatty in case he didn't make bail. He would be housed there until it was time for him to have his first appearance in front of a judge.
He's been reported that he's seeking drug rehabilitation at this point. Do you know anything about the being held on OR, and if so many drugs were in his system, would he be going automatically to an inpatient, or is that the decision for the judge?
That's not a judge's decision. Judge makes the recommendation for bail or OR, which judge has OR'd many people involved in similar types of crimes. In fact, some crimes more serious. The thing about bail is it's a promise to appear. It's not to be held as any type of a form of punishment. The court's already ruled on it. Bail is not a form of punishment. It's the guarantee appearance in court. So the judge made his decision to do that. Whether or not he's seeking any kind of treatment, we can't actually discuss that. That would be a confidential issue, as a matter of fact. It actually has protections in law.
Did you have any reports or any evidence or any inkling before this happened that there might actually be a drug issue with him?
No. If there was, there would have been appropriate action. We don't hide anything that can show us. We have an obligation to the public. We have an obligation to the safety of members of the Nye County Sheriff's Office to investigate any type of impropriety, any type of a suspicious activity within members of the Nye County Sheriff's Office. And I think some of the public can't believe that this type of, it's an allegation, remember, that there's everybody, even law enforcement officers have what I call have a presumption of innocence. There's an innocence there, and it has to be proved in court. But if there was any type of behavior that we thought was inappropriate, we would take appropriate actions, which we have done in the past. When we saw some things that were not quite, that somebody might be having some kind of an issue, we refer them to employee assistance for, personal problems, so on and so forth. But in this case, and I know that the public is going to be saying, could you not be aware of it? And I'll tell you right now, as someone who worked in a very large, as a director of employee assistance program for the city of Jersey City, not only for police department, but for members of the city as well. We and partners would work together. And I would work with a partner who, we went, our long-term partnership, we went through 2 marriages, and but during my partnership, we went through 2 marriages and 2 divorces. So the partnership was very close. And when somebody went to treatment for a substance abuse problem, even the people that worked with them for days knew more about them than the family members were kind of in shock. So there's so many times that people can have issues with drugs and maintain those without any type of any type of normal behavior. How many families you hear say, I can't believe that person was involved in drugs? even people that their kids or something like that couldn't believe it. So there's a way of there was control. So we're looking into the allegation. Like I said, I can't discuss too much about the case. I'm just saying this in general because I'm the final decision maker. So there has to be the separation between what I know about the investigation, but what I do know about the allegations against Sergeant Horn. So we have to maintain that type of separation. I can't know that much about the investigation because I'm going to have to be seeing this file in the case as it's presented to me, pretty much as they call, without any kind of ex parte communication.
There was an allegation from a news agency that there was a cover-up because you guys wouldn't speak on camera. You guys didn't want to speak on camera, especially Assistant Sheriff Rick Marshall, because of the relationship.
Well, first of all, Assistant Sheriff Rick Marshall can't speak on it publicly because, first of all, he doesn't know anything about it. And you're talking about Fox News. Fox News got the press release. I was out of the office. I sent them the press release when they asked for it. I gave them directions how to get the photo. The problem with Fox News is the fact of the matter is I also have issues I'm taking care of. I have my 85-year-old father who's in the hospital taking care of that while managing the sheriff's office and managing everything else that has to do with the sheriff's office and dealing with my father. So I was not in the office for Fox News. And honestly, the Fox News, if they actually had any kind of decency, they would have contacted me personally and said, something about an interview. I would have told them. I said, I cannot give an interview at this time. I gave them an email. I sent them by email. They contacted me by email. So it's kind of discouraging that Fox would, a news organization such as that would go into some kind of a slanderous and inappropriate type of news reporting, which basically means that their news reporting is basically what I would say is more like Esquire than any type of legitimate news reporting, which is kind of discouraging for that news organization in Las Vegas. But I did talk to Assistant Rick Marsh about it, and he stated for the fact that he had no communication from Fox. They didn't call his cell phone. They didn't call his office phone. They didn't call anything. The only thing they contacted me was they wanted an interview. I said, I can't give an interview at this time. We were not giving television interviews anyway. And like I said, I had other issues. I'm taking care of personal issues with my family. I have a father that's in the hospital. He's 85 years old. He was in Vegas in the hospital. So that interview was not going to happen on Monday. And that's when this occurred. They would call me on Monday.
Do you think that was an attempt by the reporter to pressure you?
I don't feel pressured by anybody. What are you going to say? We gave a press release, and there's no cover-up. We gave a press release on Monday. There was no effort whatsoever for Nye County Sheriff to cover up anything. We have never covered up anything. So if they want to see my ire, they have it. And for anybody to believe that we're treating this case any differently because who involved is nonsense. I had members of my family arrested, and they didn't contact me until after the appropriate time after the investigation was done. In fact, my father called me up in reference to arrest one of my stepsisters that happened a long time ago. And only way he found out before I did is that she called him from jail. My department, as we spoke to members of my administration, we will let you know if someone in your family is arrested when the time is appropriate. Assistant Sheriff Rick Marshall was not notified, and he was notified by me when I got clearance from those people that were investigating, and their investigation at that time was done, and he was being transported to jail. So,
How is the Sheriff's Department doing? Because Sergeant Horn was so involved, and a cop that led some other officers too, of course, because he was a sergeant. How are they doing emotionally? How are the other deputies and officers doing?
There's disappointment, but I spoke to members of the squad. I took over a squad, and I have other sergeants taking over certain aspects, so it was separated. But I took over a squad because basically everybody's so strict. We're very supervision is very thin. I lost 2 lieutenants, a captain, and and deputies since the commissioners decided to unfund many members of the Nye County Sheriff's Office. So I took over the squad. I talked to members about it, and they were shocked. They were shocked, but even they said that they didn't notice anything, any kind of peculiar behavior. Anybody, in fact, one of the newspapers reported, actually talked to him, said, I didn't notice anything, different. There was no signs of impairments or anything like that. So, the public is going to make, types of things, types of assumptions that the public usually makes, but we don't deal in assumptions, we deal in facts.
Do you think that this will affect the drug return program that the Nye County Sheriff's Office has really just taken off with doing this drug take back and is the only one that we know of in the country that does it full time?
Well, if it doesn't, we actually, the only country actually does it, we take in drugs and we actually put them in evidence. This was, the allegations are that there was pressure from the supervisor, based on in the press release, to turn the drugs over to him for him to dispose of within the system. There was some suspicions about that, and the detective and the follow-up on that suspicion, that's when I was notified. So, no, because you understand something, this is what some public don't understand, is that when you look at the integrity of the officers, and we have officers that have not met, the bar we set for them, members of the sheriff's office points that out to members of the sheriff's office for appropriate action, such as in several arrests. If you look at the press release, how did they come out? The deputy reported improper conduct by another deputy. The deputy reported improper conduct that they saw a reference to a supervisor. Reported to a member of the Nye County Sheriff's Office, who in turn started an initial investigation, see if there's anything to that. I realized that it was something to it. They reasonable suspicion determined a little more probable cause. I was contacted, and I told the investigator to do what they would do in any case, follow through in any case. Just make sure you get the warrants that they would need for the car, because there's always some belief that because it's county property, they can go through the desk, which they were able to do, go through the office. But the car may have personal areas where a personal bag, something like that, where they need a warrant, which they got. And I followed up. The investigation was done. I contacted administrator to be here early in the morning from another substation in order to assist with the investigation. So.
Let's talk about the difference and how being a workplace. Was there an option for you guys? Is that even an option on the table that you could have possibly spoke to the officer and said, we're noticing some things, some things are happening. We're going to give you the option that you're going to take time off, administrative leave, and go get some help, or the arrest. Was that an option within the sheriff's office?
Someone can go get treatment if they're having substance use problems. The law requires that people get treated. Like I said, is the Americans Disabilities Act requires looks at certain things as a disability. When you commit a crime, different story. And not only that, but it's not a blank check. I mean, alcohol problems, okay. Drug problems, oh, different story in law enforcement, really. So you have to look at whether what the substance abuse was illegal substance abuse or illegal substance abuse, and that's what we have to look at in law enforcement. Because if it's illegal, then there's criminal activity. We will still look to get that person the treatment if they want it, but that would have to be something that that would be brought up. But with the fact of the matter is, there was like I keep saying, people can't believe this. There was no indication of any impairment. Never had a car accident. He was never disheveled. Look at all the particular signs of that, of certain people. He, like I said, he made the appropriate decisions. Even members of his squad didn't notice and didn't notice anything. And that's not uncommon. Everybody thinks that once someone's involved in drugs, you'll see all these things. That's not uncommon. Some of the people that have been in Wall Street or so on and so forth, when they sent people to AA meetings and, we sent them to Wall Street, there was executives that were functional, that didn't show any signs of any type of abuse of the drug of choice, but still had a problem and was surreptitiously dealing with the problems. They would surreptitiously take in the drug of choice. And they decided to come and get treated because they started seeing how they were spiraling down, how it was starting to affect them parts of their life, and they wanted to get treatment. They got past that denial stage and wanted to get treatment.